Greetings, my fellow denizens of the old world. I hope you're all doing well. And today, guys, we're back with the Tomb King vs. Vampire Co-Showdown. It's going to be a heavyweight match. We have Ice Power Total War facing off against Anticity, so it should be quite a bit of fun. One of the main reasons I wanted to cast this game, I have not actually watched the replay yet. These guys are so good that you know it's going to be a good match, so typically I don't need to watch it, which is also good for having a little bit of surprise myself. But the main reason I wanted to cast it is because when I saw the loading screen, I saw these zombie pirate gunnery mob hand cannons. So Anticity has always been kind of an innovator as it pertains to the Vampire Coast, winning multiple of my faction wars with those bad boys, and really coming up with the most kind of powerful, very, very technical builds. And I'm quite excited to see how these hand cannons do in this game. Now, for the Vampire Coast Army, it's going to be, I believe, a Vampire Fleet Admiral with a polearm. So yeah, kind of like a Walmart Count Noctilus, but again, for saving a little bit of money and going wider, it probably would allow for a couple more units here. We do also have deckhand mobs in the front, backed up by a combination of hand cannons, actual hand cannons, hand guns, and yeah, just more. So this is like the classic spread. So essentially what you do is you might have a lot of guns, right? So on the surface, it's like, oh my God, look how vulnerable. There's so many guns in the backfield. It's going to be hard to defend all those. Well, what you do is you defend the guns with more guns. It's a very American thing here. But basically, yeah, well, of course, I think Anticity is Canadian. But, when the flanks get attacked and you just use your other guns, which are kind of a little bit spaced out in a strange formation like this, to shoot the enemies off the guns on the flanks. So it's very, very strong. It's like overlapping fields of fire, basically. So there's going to be a single mortar, probably to deal with skeleton archers, and Syreens really have been meta for Vampire Coast for quite some time. Incredibly cost effective, very, very tough to remove. And Tomb Kings have magic damage via Ark in the Black and a couple of units, but for the most part, Tomb Kings don't really have like a great source of dedicated magic damage. So really the way to make the Syreens work is to use like every single invocation on them and really make sure you max out their healing caps, because that's so much damage that your opponents have to deal, because Syreens do have decent melee defense for a ghostly unit, and on top of that 75% physical resist. So yeah, I really like this army, quite a bit of fun. Now for the forces of Ice Power Total War, he is rocking a big core of skeleton warriors, but no skeleton archers, which are very, very meta here. And I think of course the Kraken King was probably expecting that, but Nehekar horsemen to the backfield. We got a couple of Ushapti Great Bows here, double actually, which will be very, very good. Nothing in this coast army is like super good against them, with the exception of Syreens chasing them, which I think is going to be the case, or maybe getting handguns in range. A couple chariots, Ark in the Black going to be dropping Spirit Leeches. Arkan is kind of an auto pick here because you really need the Spirit Leeches to deal with Syreens. Otherwise, you're going to have a bit of a precarious situation on your hands. So here comes the old pole arms moving in, looking to try and push back the chariots, perhaps. We will see. Up in the sky, we do have a Carrion lurking. Carrion, of course, a very good harass unit. Yeah, in this case, like, Tomb Kings can be the ones who don't have to chase. They can force the Vampire Coast forward. Vampire Coast typically likes to sit and be a reactionary style, faction. And in this case, look at this. Ushapti Great Bows are actually nuking the mortars. But the mortars, so basically what you do here is when your mortars are being targeted by something like Ushapti Great Bows, you can pull the crew off the mortars and move them away. And therefore, the Ushapti Great Bow shafts are going to be shooting at the haggard crew instead of actually killing the mortar models. It's a very, very clever tactic there. So we'll see how the Ushapti Great Bow do. And yeah, I mean, honestly, look at that. Ushapti Great Bows are at like 70% ammo, and they've done like 8% damage against this mortar team. Very, very good control. Now, one skeleton summon from Ark in the Black is going to be dissipating here in a minute. Syreens took about 6 models in terms of casualties, but nothing serious. Great Bow's now going to be switching onto the handguns, which is a smarter choice considering the mortar play, but that's what I'm talking about. Anticity is very good at finding these like little niche plays in the game and game mechanics and really capitalizing very well on them. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses as a player, is I don't really focus on things like that, but yeah, very, very good play from him, man. So, skeletons moving in the front. The Royal Rumble will be underway soon. Here we get the skeleton chariots moving in on the Syreens, and they are leading them to crumble, which is a pretty good source of damage. It looks like there's going to be a single target invocation being dropped right there to try and counteract that, but it might be too much damage. We'll see if they crumble, but if they can be stabilized, that's going to be quite nice. Now, the Chariot Goon Squad moving in. Ark in the Black did imbue magic damage using the aspect of the Dread Knight, which is a Lore of Death spell, which gives fear and terror. Doesn't matter here, but it gives you magic damage. So if you use that in conjunction with attacking Syreens, it's one of the better ways Tomb Kings can deal with armor. A pretty good overwhelming assault coming in. We have Carrion landing here, being attacked by Syreens. We have Carrion jumping here. And the skeleton front line is just kind of a wet noodle contest. Zombie deckhand mobs for skeleton warriors is going to be kind of a, playing a little bit of patty cake there. But the Tomb King's big mobile kind of Limp Biscuit squad moving through here. Skeleton Chariot's going to be moving into the handguns. They were not able to finish off the Syreens. So, that was a fair amount invested, right? Like 3 or 4 units plus also, you know, the aspect of the Dread Knight, they still weren't able to finish him. That's really, really kind of essential for Coast's survival here in this matchup. Overcasted Invocation going to be dropped on double Syreens, plus the Mortar Crews, which are staying quite stable here. Hand Cannons blasting away. Seems to be doing some pretty good DPS here against the Skeleton Chariots, but I think the Ushabti summon is going to be coming down from Tomb Kings on top of the old Hand Cannons, and yes, they are. So the Ushabti will now pile in, maybe be able to finish him off. The other Hand Cannon unit or handgun unit is compromised, but it seems like the shotgun blasts really do nuke those chariots super, super hard. So pretty impressed with that. Very, very cool stuff. I think the other hand cannon unit is also still online right here, so let's see what kind of work they're doing. Looks like they're mostly being surrounded by chaff units. They're probably going to be taken down there. Now, balance of power is pretty even. I don't think anybody's in a clear state of advantage. The hand cannons here probably will survive the Ushabti summon. A couple loose Nehekar horsemen trying to get onto the handgun units. And the Tomb Kings did lose most of their chariots. I think they have 1 unit left. So obviously they start with 9 models. So starting with the total 18 chariots in the beginning, they are down to 6. So they've lost quite a few. ARKHAN the Black, though, with his Pimp Cane doing pretty good, and there's not really too many guns nearby to punish him, so he's able to kind of ride around here free willy. I would imagine there will be another Skeleton Summon coming up soon. It only recharges when he's in combat, and Aspect of the Dread Knight coming down very good, and huge magic damage coming in as the Chariots and ARKHAN the Black jump on top of the Syreens, and you can see they're taking some pretty sizable damage. And a Spirit Leech also going down somewhere? Yes, on the other unit of Syreens. So ARKHAN the Black really trying to put this Tomb King's game on his back here, as he really is desperately pushing in, trying to shut down those hand cannons. Because if those, handguns, if they get online, I mean, they could really nuke ARKHAN or any number of other threats. So Anticity doing a good job as well, stabilizing these handguns over here. The Syreens chasing off the Nehekar horsemen. Syreens are really doing well pretty much wherever they're going. And I think most of them are, still somewhat functional. Yeah, we do have a unit of 32 here. We got 28 right here. And then on the other side, yeah, we got 44. There is still a ton of Syreens and not a whole lot of magic damage. Ushabti Grapos are pouring their fire into what appears to be the Vampire Fleet Admiral. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to snipe the Lord. And the Lord is doing a little bit of juking, but could potentially be compromised here and or shot. We will have to find out. ARKHAN the Black going to be running back. He is battling these zombies, and this is good. It's a safe spot for him to fight, and he fights long enough to get the Skeleton Summon. So that's great. That's probably going to not defeat this unit, but it will do some substantial damage and tie them down and keep them from effectively shooting. Some of the units can shoot, but most of the unit is going to be tied down by skeletons, and of course will be taking quite a bit of damage. So Syreens are an excellent unit against the Ushabti, but Aspect of the Dread Knight has been so clutch this game. God damn. And this is going to be imbuing magic damage, letting the Syreens get crumped. But Anticity is very, very savvy here. He sees the magic damage and he's going to run away and force his opponent to either chase him and, of course, minimizing the DPS on his ethereal units. That takes a lot of presence of mind and a lot of awareness. Granted, as these battles do get a little bit smaller and smaller, it is easier to kind of see what's going on and, notice things like that. But look, now they're critical binding, which means they're no longer crumbling. And then they can turn around and fight these Ushabti Grapo, which it's going to take these Ushabti Grapo a long time to finish off these Syreens. So here, 1 unit of Syreens fully surrounded, critical binding. So as soon as they get below 0 leadership, which you guys can see right here, they are going to start taking damage over time, which is a great way to deal with these ghostly units. Otherwise, you have to kind of chew through that HP with the 75% penalty. The ghost units here on the other side still doing a great job, and the balance of power is looking a little bit Tomb King favored now. Are we going to be seeing a very rare Tomb King's victory here? Well, maybe we will. But I feel like Tomb Kings versus Coast is an even matchup, a very, very fun one. I actually love this matchup. I think it's very, very cool. Ushabti Grapos using the last of their ammo, and they probably hit hard enough to kill Syreen models. Over here, we do have the Syreens engaged against Skeleton Warriors. Both units are kind of crumbling down, which is very cost-effective for the Tomb Kings. And Nehekar Horseman moving in with the Aspect of the Dread Knight. Very, very clutch once again. Syreens instantly losing like 6 or 7 models, and the damage follow-up from that is going to be quite brutal. So yeah, for any of you guys like playing this matchup, clearly the Aspect of the Dread Knight, in many situations, is a lot better than Spirit Leeches. Yeah, Spirit Leeches are good. It guarantees some damage, but the amount of burst damage you can get from a magic on ethereal unit from like something like Nehekar Horseman, I think is far better than Spirit Leech. But again, Spirit Leech can be done under almost any circumstances. Aspect of the Dread Knight requires like the proper engagements, the proper unit and positioning. So there's a lot more variables that go into that. Balance of power is getting pretty good here for the Tomb Kings as the last of the Syreens do get crumbled down. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding here as the Tomb Kings forces move over. The last bastion of the Vampire Coast preparing to engage. Syreens do sally forth to fight the Skeleton Warriors. ARKHAN the Black with Staff of Nagash should be able to regenerate a little bit of magic here, but more so, he gets more skeletons, which could lead to the crumbling here of the Syreens. Juking very, very effectively, man, and dodging the fire of the zombie pirate handguns here. And I have a feeling the Ushabti Grapo are probably just going to kind of drift around there and try and deal with them. I think there's too many Tomb Kings units for the Vampire Coast to come back here. Horsemen and the Ushabti going to be able to crump down these guns, which is going to really, really give ARKHAN the Black a huge, huge amount of agency on the battlefield. Because then he could just like cackle, he can cycle charge, he can get his, well, cackling, of course, the most important thing, of course, but he can get the skeleton summons, he can save up ones of magic pretty safely without having to worry about being shot, and he can do his thing. But Tomb King's piling in, the skeleton summons moving. ARKHAN the Black just needs to make sure he doesn't get gooned by the Vampire Coast Lord, who of course has a polearm and does have the anti-large. ARKHAN the Black, not like the craziest duelist in the world, but he's got decent combat stats. Still 450 weapon strength, he just kind of lacks armor piercing, but not that the Vampire Fleet Admirals are super heavily armored. They only have 70 armor, so it's not like they're just like middle linebackers or anything like that. So very, very grindy here as ARKHAN the Black charges in once again. Syreens are the last hope here for the Vampire Coast, but good cycle charging from ARKHAN is doing pretty good work. And Syreens don't have insane DPS, so it's not like they're going to be able... They have good staying power, and of course Terror can be very good, but not in this matchup. So ARKHAN the Black here able to claim victory. GG, well played. Always fun to watch players of this caliber play. Certainly taking some notes. You know, that little mortar trick that we saw from Anticity in the beginning, I didn't even like... I have pulled Cruise, but I wonder if there's like a little bit of like... He pulled it in front of the mortar. I wonder if that was intentional. Well, Bud, if you're watching this, you'll have to let me know. It was quite a bit of fun. I mean, you know, artillery pulling has been a thing for a long time, but people used to just pull artillery to, you know, obviously save the artillery piece from infantry, but pulling when it's being shot to save the piece itself is a very, very good play. Mortar rocking 69 kills. Hell yeah, the blessed mortar. And yeah, Syreens, of course, being very durable. A lot of the guns, you know, got some value back. Some of the hand cannons just about paid for themselves. But yeah, it was a close game for sure. I really enjoyed that one. You shot your Great Bow still doing well. But ARKHAN the Black with those aspects of the Dread Knights was 100% the reason why that game went well for them. And really enjoyed seeing that. So GG, well played. If you guys haven't seen these gentlemen, I'm not sure if Ice Power has a platform where he streams. Yeah, he does have a YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Anticity does as well. So make sure to check him out. There should be a link in the comment section below. And that is it for now. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.